from St. Louis, Missouri, and a sellout crowd ready to see their Cardinals and take their turn in the national spotlight as the Cardinals have moved this series back to St. Louis, all tied at 1 apiece, as this National League Championship Series coverage on TBS is presented by the new Capital One Cash Card. It is Game 3 of a best-of-7 series, a series that is all tied at 1 game apiece. The Milwaukee Brewers and the St. Louis Cardinals. And hi, everybody. We welcome you from St. Louis alongside John Smoltz and Ron Darling. I'm Brian Anderson. Great to have you with us tonight. And we are in the baseball hotbed of St. Louis. And now the Cardinals hoping not to have to return to Miller Park. And John, it's going to be a matchup of aces tonight. Yovani Gallardo against Chris Carpenter. And they've turned this best-of-7 now into a best-of-5. And the Cardinals have the home field advantage.
They do. Offense stole the show the first couple games, but look for this pitching matchup to live up to its billing. I don't think that Carpenter has had a bigger win in the postseason than that Game 5 at Philadelphia. He's got a lot of experience in the postseason, great fastball, heavy sinker, and an outstanding curveball. Now for Yovani Gallardo, he's got a guy that from Milwaukee, they want to take it back to Milwaukee, guarantee this win, and they can do that. But he's going to have to figure out a way to get out Albert Pujols. My suggestion, walk him, because he hasn't had much success lately against him. But he's got a tremendous fastball, a ball that looks like it's going to be down in the zone, that carries itself for a strike. And if he gets this pitch over with a hard curveball, he's going to be tough to hit. It's going to be a great game, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, the offensive have been such a story tonight. Now we get the matchup of the two aces. And Ron Darling, yes, the offenses are in the headlines. And yes, the superstars have had their moments. But you want to peel another layer off this onion. You got to go to the 2 spot right now, especially tonight. And the 2 hole in these 2 batting orders for different reasons in the news tonight.
You know, what's interesting is the manager, Ron Renicky, decided to sit Nigel Morgan, who has 9 Ks in this postseason, and go with the veteran Mark Kotsay. Kotsay's a guy that has played 450 games in center field, but only 9 of them this year. But they're playing him because of his numbers in his last 4 at-bats against Carpenter and trying to get some veteran leadership. And that 2 hole for the St. Louis Cardinals has been outstanding also with John Jay, who has 4 hits and 4 runs scored in this series. He can do just about everything. If you want to run the base runner, he can hit and run. If you play him too far back, he has the ability and the speed to lay down a bunt and get himself a bunt base hit. And the great thing about Jay being this table setter is that he also, you can't try to cheat on him and try to go one way, because Willie Keeler doesn't have anything on him. He'll hit him where they ain't.
Yeah, and the managers talk about traffic on the base paths in front of these dynamic all-star hitters. Those 2 a good example tonight. St. Louis, Milwaukee, Game 3 from Missouri, coming up next.
All the usual suspects. All the usual suspects are here.
The National League Championship Series on TBS is brought to you by New Guinness Black Lager. Taste it, believe it. Please enjoy responsibly. By Liberty Mutual. Responsibility. What's your policy? By Verizon 4G LTE. America's fastest, most reliable 4G network. And now compare new and used cars side by side at Autotrader.com.
A sea of red here at Busch Stadium tonight, and they are used to winning here. Only the Yankees have won more World Series championships than St. Louis. And our weather tonight, that could be a story. There is rain in the forecast, but right now, 66 degrees, cloudy skies up above. Let's hope the rain will not be a part of this matchup here tonight. Some of the legends that have come out in this great St. Louis Cardinal franchise. And for more on that, we check in with the 4th member of our team, Craig Sager.
Oh, you're right. This is one of the greatest baseball cities in the world. 10 world championships, some of the greatest players who ever played the game, and 4 of them on the field just moments ago together, all who wore the St. Louis Cardinal uniform. Lou Brock, Bob Gibson, Red Shane Dings, and Stan the Man Musial. 4 Hall of Famers coming out here. Before the game, Chris Carpenter told me he would be anxious and nervous once he took the mound, but after seeing those 4, I tell you, everybody in this place was treated quite an honor, a chance to see these 4 great Hall of Famers.
And such a big part of this organization in their red blazers with the Cardinal logo. And now the Carpenters Cardinals have taken the field here, led by their 36-year-old starting pitcher. And as the managers exchange the lineups at home plate, let's give you the starting lineup for the visiting Milwaukee Brewers, brought to you by the new Capital One Cash Card. Corey Hart leads off, and then as Ron mentioned, Mark Kotsay batting second. He'll start for Nyjer Morgan. Ryan Braun batting third. In the middle of the order for Ron Renicky, it's Prince Fielder at first base, Ricky Weeks at second, with Jerry Hairston moving down in the order and batting sixth. Uni Betancourt will hit seventh. Jonathan Lucroy, the catcher, batting eighth. And Giovanni Gallardo will round it out and bat ninth. And a lineup that will face Chris Carpenter, who is coming off one of his greatest postseason moments in a victory, a shutout win against the Philadelphia Phillies last Friday, John.
Yeah, he capped off what really was an unbelievable run for St. Louis, and to win it 1-0, it's going to be hard to duplicate that kind of intensity, but he's a guy that is very fierce on the mound, and for him to be successful, it's a heavy sinker, hard cutter, and a real good overhand curveball. Keep the traffic off the bases for the big boys and you're fine.
John, the last time we saw Carpenter in that undershirt, it was ripped off him as he pitched that fantastic shutout in Game 5. A lot of the same old on defense for the St. Louis Cardinals. Out in the outfield, of course, flanked by Berkman and Holiday, as John Jay has been outstanding. Freeze, Furcal, and Punto on the infield. Of course, Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina with most of the goal.
Just one error for the Cardinals so far. Same with the Brewers. The Cardinals' error came from one of their pitchers, Octavio Dotel. They have tightened it up defensively in the first 2 games. The Brewers won the opener at Miller Park, a 9-6 final score. That was back on Sunday, and then the Cardinals came back with an exclamation point at Miller Park Monday night. 12-3 final. They banged out 17 hits against Milwaukee pitching to get this series to St. Louis, all tied at 1 apiece. Sam Holbrook is the home plate umpire tonight. Mike Everett, Bill Miller, Mike Winters join him on the bases. In the outfield, it is Tim Timmons in right and the crew chief, Gary Darling. Here we go for baseball in St. Louis. Chris Carpenter against Corey Hart to lead things off. And it begins with strike 1. Corey Hart, Mark Kotsay, and Ryan Braun. These Cardinal fans knowing this is an improbable destination for their 2011 team this year. It looked like the Cardinals were down and out. They were 10.5 back in late August. But here they are with a decided advantage. And maybe for the first time in a long time, John, the Cardinals aren't operating as the underdog anymore.
No, they've gotten home field back, and certainly the pitching matchups have gone and could go in the Cardinals' way. But it really comes down to execution. And certainly whatever team starts off fast usually rides that emotion to a victory.
You see with the first couple of strikes here from Carpenter against Corey Hart, there's give and take in all of baseball. With Hart, you can have a guy who can take you deep in the first inning, but very rarely will lay down a bunt.
2 balls, 2 strikes as Carpenter misses inside. Interesting that Chris Carpenter in his postseason career, John gave you some of the numbers, he's been stellar in the postseason. He has never walked a batter to lead off an inning. And it continues here as Hart bounces 1-2 for well, this crowd is ready to roar, and these Cardinals, they know that they have the opportunity with 3 consecutive wins not to have to return to Milwaukee, which means for the Milwaukee Brewers, Ron, they know they need at least 1 win to get it back to their home stadium where they play so well. Now here is Mark Kotsay. This is a hunch by the Milwaukee manager, Ron Renicky. Nyjer Morgan not in the starting lineup, the left-handed hitter. Instead, he goes with the veteran, Mark Kotsay, who's had some good success against Chris Carpenter.
You talk to anyone that's been a teammate of Kotsay, he's a pro's pro. One of those guys that always stays ready. He's a veteran at this point, so him playing 160 games, those days are gone. But he's a guy that can give your team a real charge, as he did in the middle of the summer when Ryan Braun went down for a couple of weeks.
And his numbers against Chris Carpenter, and he's done a lot of that damage lately. 3 of his last 4 against Carpenter on the hit total.
Seriously contemplating retirement, didn't have a job till late in spring training, and finds himself with another team making guys laugh, keeping them loose, getting on them, and filling in from time to time.
He is the clubhouse captain. He and Craig Counsell, and big part of the bench. He is Ron Renicke's most often used pinch hitter this season, his best option as a pinch hitter at 35 years of age. Ron Renicky said he'd love to play him every day, but his body just can't hold up any longer. But he gets a big start here tonight as he draws the walk. So it pays off quickly, and a base runner for Milwaukee against Carpenter with Ryan Braun coming up.
Well, for Carpenter, the success of his sinker and a little bit early on getting up under it a little bit. And I think when he's pitching ahead, you're going to see 80% of his pitches either going to be cutters or curveballs. But when he's pitching behind, you'll see a lot of sinkers trying to induce that ground ball that he did so well in Philadelphia.
Here is Braun. Hit .332 during the regular season, had 33 homers to go along with 33 steals. First Brewer player in the 30-30 club since Tommy Harper in 1970. Another all-star season for Braun.
We've already seen Carpenter throw more balls at the waist or higher than he did all night in Philadelphia. But most good pitchers are all the same, and he's one of the great ones. You got to get them early. Eyes closed, focus.
Yeah.
In there. Interesting, the Cardinals, who were using multiple signs at Miller Park with the threat of a sign stealing potential, they only go with the one sign here in their home stadium with the Brewers at the plate and nobody at second base. Tony La Russa leaving no stone unturned in this series with Milwaukee.
Chris Carpenter pitches off the right side, the first base side of the rubber, and why he does that is he's got a sinker that he wants to take advantage. The leverage on that and keeping that sinker away, backdooring it to right-handers, front-dooring it to left-handers. You'll see other pitchers, traditionally right-handers, pitch off the third base side if they don't have a sinker and want to get the leverage with their curve and slider.
And Braun is drilled. So Carpenter misses inside. He hits Ryan Braun. Well, Fielder and Braun have been hit by pitches in this series. And now 2 men are on with 1 away and Fielder coming up.
Well, again, just getting underneath it. He's trying to really sink it in and bury it in on the inside part of the plate. What's interesting is the last couple games, that hasn't been a factor. I think today you'll see more inside pitches trying to cool off the offensive batter at the plate's comfortable, and that's why you're seeing a lot of runs. So he wasn't trying to hit him, but he was trying to bury it in for effect.
Both of these pitchers, Carpenter and Gallardo, work on the inner half, and they'll be in there a lot. Here is Prince Fielder now with 2 on. The Brewers trying to strike early. The Cardinals at Miller Park in Milwaukee in the first 2 games scored in the first inning. They took the crowd out of it quickly. They got a run on Sunday in game 1. They scored 2 on that Pujols 2-run homer on Monday night. Prince Fielder was a home run derby champ in this ballpark. The All-Star game in 2009. He loves hitting here. And it's 2 balls and no strikes on Prince Fielder. Let's take you back. This was June 11th. The Brewers in their gold jerseys. Fielder deep into left center field against Chris Carpenter. Carpenter matched up against Milwaukee 4 times during the regular season. 2 bad outings, 2 very good outings, and the last one was his best when he went the distance for a shutout.
interesting behind in the count, John. We saw that home run that he hit this year, Prince Fielder, on his sinker way ahead in the count. This time decided to come in with the cutter.
Well, he wants to get ahead of him and then throw that curveball down at his foot. That's the one pitch that you can get Fielder out on, but you certainly got to be in position to be able to do that, and a 2-0 count is not the way to do that.
See those numbers for Carpenter, those last 2 wins coming at home. As Fielder in the shallow center field, John Jay will run it down, and Kotsay far off the bag is out at second. A base running blunder early. Chris Carpenter and the Cardinals get out of the first inning. Milwaukee running themselves out of a potential inning in the first inning. And now the Cardinals coming up for the first time. Let's take a look at tonight's starting lineups, brought to you by the new Capital One Cash Card. Rafael Furcal in the leadoff spot again. John Jay batting second. He's had a great series already. Pujols, a 4-hit game in game 2. Matt Holliday hits cleanup in left field. Lance Berkman in right. Then Yadier Molina behind the plate. Bottom 3 for La Russa. David Freeds. Nick Punto gets the start again at second base. And Chris Carpenter will bat ninth. And he is on the mound. And that's the lineup that will face 25-year-old Giovanni Gallardo, a 17-game winner during the regular season. Rafael Furcal will start it. Gallardo's numbers so far, he's been a breakout star in the postseason. These are his regular season statistics. Set a career high in innings pitched and strikeouts, and Furcal swinging for the downs against Gallardo, and he's had some success against Giovanni Gallardo, leading off games. As a matter of fact, he's hit 3 leadoff home runs against the Brewers this year for Call, and twice against Giovanni Gallardo this season. One here at Busch Stadium, the other at Miller Park. A sneak attack by the Cardinal leadoff hitter.
Well, for Gallardo, he has a over-the-top fastball coming from his ear almost. Really straight down fastball with a hard slider, but a really power curveball that goes straight down.
Back up the middle, a base hit. And a good start for St. Louis. They get a single from Furcal. All of that offense that occurred on Monday for the Cardinals, Rafael Furcal was 0 for 5. Comes up with a base hit to start this one tonight.
Well, a play he would like to have had back. He follows over to the first base side just a little bit. Couldn't get his glove on it. And that traffic we were talking about in the opening, you've got to weave and bob if you're going to get through the 3, 4, 5 guys. So it's real important you keep the leadoff hitters off base.
Here is John Jay. 3 hits in game 2. He scored 3 runs ahead of Pujols.
Sometimes the most important person on the field might be the umpire. Sam Holbrook behind the plate. If he has given Gallardo that low strike all game, it's going to really work in the Brewers' favor.
Jay had a big cut. Now the Brewers a little over aggressive on the base pass. John Jay, a routine catch in center field. Mark Kotsay maybe trying to do a little too much, got so far off he couldn't get back, and then the face plant at second base. And a little raspberry to show for it under that beard of Mark Kotsay.
Even veterans can get a little rusty. He did not start a game since August 22nd, so.
Got a young battery with the Brewers tonight. Pair of 25-year-olds and Jonathan Lucroy and Giovanni Gallardo. And that's in the dirt. Furcal takes off. Outstanding base running by Rafael Furcal. He saw it in the dirt immediately and ends up in scoring position now.
Well, one of the things I know is in the scouting report is he likes to bounce that curveball, and so beware, runners beware, and he certainly got a huge jump. You take a peek in there as a base runner, seeing if you can see the sign, anticipating what's coming, and if you know a curveball's coming, you can get a bigger jump.
Now, both of these teams are very aggressive on the base paths. It doesn't show up so much in the stolen base category, but it does on plays like that. And the speedy for call now at second for John Jay. As he lays off a high fastball.
Jay with that fine defensive play, 4 hits and 4 runs scored in the first 2 games.
Count stays at 2-2. John Jay during this LCS so far, 4 for 9. During the regular season had 10 home runs, 37 RBIs. He just missed a 300 batting average. He had 297. With runners in scoring position during the regular season, just 238. He has a pretty comfortable spot in the batting order in front of Albert Pujols. You see a lot of strikes.
You know, whenever you think of the Cardinals, you really think of Albert Pujols, and it's mostly his show. But in this postseason, they've gotten production out of just about everyone. 9 different players have 2 or more hits with runners in scoring position for the Cards this postseason.
Cardinals are doing a lot of damage offensively, and they're doing damage early in games. They have scored during the first inning in each of their last 4 games. Jay into center field. Kotsay's got a long way to go. He lays out. He can't get it. And it gets by Braun. And here comes for Cole. He will score. The Cardinals are on the board.
Well, we talked about it before. You give a little, you get a little. A little breaking pitch out in the middle of the plate. Jay drives it to left center field. Kotsay, not as much speed as Carlos Gomez or Nyjer Morgan. I couldn't get to that baseball. Once it got under his glove, Jose Oquendo, the third base coach, sends for a call for the first Cardinal run.
That'll be a double and an RBI for John Jay. And again, the Cardinals score in the first inning. 5 consecutive games. They have done that in the postseason. And now it's Albert Pujols. And he swings and drills one deep left center field. That is way back. And that's going to bounce up and out of here. A ground roll double. Pujols drives in a run. He stays red hot. 2-0 Cardinals.
That's why I'm finding a way to walk him. First pitch, he throws a curveball. Pujols normally takes the first pitch of every first at bat, but not tonight. He went out, he got good wood on it, and he drove it to the gap. And the Cardinals, what a much needed 2-0 lead where this crowd is really into it.
Sometimes the intelligence of a hitter gets you. Base open, first pitch, sitting on breaking ball, got it, delivers a double.
How good are those numbers there against Giovanni Gallardo? He is 7 for his last 9 against this pitcher. At one point had 6 consecutive hits against Gallardo. 2-0 Cardinals with Pujols at second and Matt Holliday at the plate. The Cardinals with runners in scoring position in this series already. 12 hits in 26 at-bats. Major firepower for Tony La Russa. And they have found it at just the right time.
One of the things they talk about, Ron Renicky was talking about today with Gallardo, is sometimes his tempo can get real slow, where it's hard for him to really get his ball where he wants to in the strike zone.
Well, for a pitcher who had a really good year, and as I mentioned in September, he turned it on with the strikeouts, striking out 14 per 9 innings. But in his wins, he's outstanding. A 1.45 ERA. In his losses, 8.29. A little bit of feast and famine.
No team has beaten Gallardo more than the Cardinals. That 1-7 record throughout his career. 3-0 is the count on Holliday, and he takes a strike. Lance Berkman is on deck. This is the same lineup for Tony La Russa as we saw in Game 2 Monday. The flip-flop of Berkman and Holiday. Holiday in the cleanup position. And there's ball 4. First and second. The first 4 batters have reached. And Rick Kranitz, the Brewer pitching coach, trying to settle down his young ace.
Boy, there's not much you can say here. You know, you go out there and, you know, you try to settle him down. You can see very animated is Rick Kranitz, the pitching coach. But usually you try to, in this circumstance, try to be as positive as you can. Try to just, hey, listen, let's take a mulligan. Let's reset. Let's get one hitter out. Let's throw the ball down in the strike zone, and let's get a ground ball double play.
Well, right away, Ron Renicky played the card of Mark Kotsay, and that is a risky move, of course, because Kotsay is not the regular center fielder. And it shows up in his base running in the top of the first inning, and then in his defense and the lack of speed, as you mentioned, in the bottom of this.
Well, he had 2 options when he didn't play Nigel Morgan. He could either play Kotsay, which he chose, or Gomez, Carlos Gomez, is an outstanding defensive player, and 3 for 5 with a home run against right-handers in the postseason.
Lance Berkman with 2 on. An impressive comeback season for Lance Berkman. His career was a little bit on the ropes last season. A lot of injuries. Berkman got himself healthy, lost some weight. He was part of a postseason run last year with the Yankees. Longtime face of the Houston Astros organization. Signed a 1-year deal with the Cardinals and a 31 home run, 94 RBI season for Lance Berkman. In a year he hit .301. Albert Pujols with an RBI double. He's at second. Holiday at first with a walk. St. Louis, after the young Gallardo quickly tonight. 3-0 is the count on Berkman. Swinging away 3-0, and he fouls it back. Part of the aggressive nature of this Cardinal ball club. Doesn't just apply to base running, also at the plate, being aggressive on first pitches and 3-0 counts.
Well, for Gallardo, he really depends on that fastball, Ron. He doesn't move a lot. It's a straight over the top. He's got to spot it, and then his breaking pitch becomes that much better. But when you're pitching behind and missing down in the zone, those breaking pitches aren't as effective. He really, really needs to start pounding strikes with his fastball to have any success in this game.
And there's ball 4. 5 consecutive base runners for the Cardinals. 3 hits, now back-to-back walks, and they are loaded. And Ron Renicky is close to decision time here in the very first inning with his ace.
Well, you can see having a powwow with his coaches there. Rick Kranitz on the right, Jerry Naron, the bench coach, in the middle, figuring out who they're going to go with if they decide to get someone up.
Bullpen is quiet for the time being.
John, sometimes when you're struggling to throw your fastball for strikes, you've walked a couple, a new hitter up there, try a little wrinkle, maybe a slider or something to get you back in the strike zone.
Yeah, the problem with that is Pujols hit that little something different for the gap. It kind of shocked his system.
Yadier Molina with the bases loaded, and on the first pitch, a mighty rip. See the numbers for Yadier Molina. He's 2 for 8 in the LCS. There's a phone call to the bullpen. That is Chris Narveson, who was a starting pitcher for Milwaukee this year.
John, usually in these postseasons, games will kind of work their way into the later innings, and you'll see a team kind of take advantage. This is a team that's trying to go right for the jugular here in the first inning.
Bases loaded. Cardinals don't have a lot of speed on the bases, not a lot of speed at the plate. Looks like the Brewers will concede a run to turn 2 up the middle. And that one's in there for a strike. 1-2 on Yadier Molina. Molina with a couple of RBIs so far in the postseason. He's been a clutch postseason performer in the past as well. You know about his great defense. He's one of the best defenders in the game behind the plate, but also brings some power to the plate, some production. Already 4 grand slams in this postseason. And a couple of them have occurred against the Milwaukee Brewers. Now in game 4 of the 06 LCS, Yadier Molina hit a solo home run. That was against Oliver Perez. That was in the 6th inning. And then in game 7, it was a 2-run home run in the top of the 9th off Aaron Heilman. It gave the Cardinals a 3-1 lead. The Cardinals held on to win the game. They advanced to the World Series. They would win the World Series in 2006. And Molina's bat was a big part of the reason why. Bouncing ball, chance for 2. Weeks to Betancourt to Fielder. Best case scenario for Milwaukee, another run scores, but the Brewers get their first 2 outs of this game 3.
Well, the best sequence of pitches for Gallardo so far in this game. A nice curveball down, trying to go the other way is Molina, and just a nice toss, easy toss to Betancourt for the easy double play.
So it puts Holiday over at third base, now 2 away. And David Freese, who has been a hot hitter as well in this Cardinal batting order. The 7th batter of the inning. Freese into right center. Pretty well hit. Back is Corey Hart at the track, and he cannot get it. Off the wall. Holiday scores the run. It's an RBI double, and the Cardinals with a 4-0 lead in the first inning.
Well, this ballpark plays a little bigger than Miller Park, and David Freese has already shown in this postseason tremendous power to right field. Hart, Kotze, Braun, not a lot of speed in the outfield, and this ends up off his glove for a double.
Well, I thought this ball needed to be caught. He was coasting as if he was going to catch it, and maybe he misjudged the carry on the ball because it ticked his glove. When I was watching it live, I was pretty much thought he had it.
4 runs are in. Freese with another run batted in. That is his 6th RBI of the postseason. And has hit in 7 straight. David Freese with that tremendous opposite field power. The hometown kid in a Cardinal uniform. Nick Punto with 2 away.
Chris Carpenter, you dream of these situations, to be able to bat in the first inning. He's on deck. You got to like your chances of winning a baseball game, especially coming off the performance he had last game.
What the starting pitchers say in the National League, you get a bat in the first or you get 4 all game. You know it's going to be a good game.
Yeah. Carpenter would love to swing the bat in this first inning. Nick Punto ahead in the count. 2 balls, no strikes. 30 pitches right out of the bullpen for Giovanni Gallardo. Not what a starter ever wants to deal with. Gallardo has been Ron Renicki's best starter. He has been the only starter in the postseason that has had success. Brewers have been able to hit their way to this National League Championship Series. But Gallardo's 2 starts were stellar against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And now with a 3-0 count, Gallardo is content to walk Nick Punto with a base open at first to get the pitcher Carpenter to the plate. St. Louis batting around here in the first inning. So the Cardinal pitcher will in fact hit in this first inning.
This will be his, I think it'd be his last hitter if he can't get him out. Obviously, if he can get him out, he can pitch and throw some important innings for the Brewers, but I wouldn't see him going much past if Carpenter were to happen to get a hit or a walk.
Carpenter on the first pitch to Ricky Weeks. And the side is retired, and the St. Louis Cardinals are still rolling. 12 runs, 17 hits in game 2. They've got 4 on the board tonight. This National League Championship Series coverage on TBS is brought to you in HD by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Busch Stadium is rocking tonight. The Cardinals giving them good reason. A 4 spot in the first inning. On 4 hits, there were 3 walks in the inning by Yovani Gallardo. And now we move to the second. The Brewers had 2 on with 1 away in the first inning. And a double play, an unconventional double play, eliminated the inning. Carpenter back to work against Ricky Weeks. Weeks has 1 home run this postseason. That came in his last game, game 2 against St. Louis. Carpenter has had his trouble with Ricky Weeks in his career. Weeks 5 for his last 7 with 3 home runs in those 5 hits against Chris Carpenter. That all-important 5 spot in the batting order for the Milwaukee Brewers. Carpenter walked a batter and hit a batter in the first inning. Did not allow a hit. As Weeks rifles one to right field, a base hit. And the Brewers second baseman with a leadoff single here in the second inning. As we check in with Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, yesterday Chris Carpenter was asked what he remembered most about that 1-0 shutout against the Phillies. He said, I remember smiling on the mound when Ryan Howard swung at a 3-0 pitch and flew out to right. He says, a really neat moment. I think we just saw that same expression on his face in the bottom of the first when Prince Fielder flied out and Mark Kotsay was doubled off second.
Yeah, Chris Carpenter not afraid to express himself on that mound. He wouldn't be great in a poker game if it was in the middle of a baseball stadium. But you can get a good sense of what he's feeling, what he's thinking. Well, he has done some of his best pitching as he deals a strike to Jerry Hairston late in the season. 2 complete games in September and that magical performance against the Phillies last Friday.
Well, he was a great schoolboy hockey player, so brings some of that mentality to the mound.
Slow curve. Hairston bounces it foul.
Well, it's controlled aggression. I mean, he's a different person when he's in the dugout. He's rooting for all his players. He's leading a lot of charges, and he's really pulling for everybody. And when he's on the mound, it's really like a guy that's waited all day to just throw that emotion and work ethic and everything that he has. And he does. He pitches with emotion, but he knows how to control it. Some guys pitch with that emotion and they get carried away with it, and it affects their fastball and their pitches.
Tony La Russa was quick to point out today about Chris Carpenter, and I thought it was interesting, Ron, that he's pointing out Carpenter's work during the game when he's not pitching. You know, the topic of conversation concerning the Boston Red Sox and all that has gone on there and what may or may not have happened in the dugouts or in the clubhouses. Tony La Russa said this guy is the biggest cheerleader we have when he's not pitching. And when he is pitching, it takes a little work for the others to hold up his standard when he's on the mound.
Well, I think the thing for Carpenter, he's one of those guys that all the young pitchers that come to the Cardinals, they'll learn how to be a pro from him. That you do sit on the bench, you do root on your teammates, you root for the other starters. It's almost in a karma way, John. You feel like if you root, then you're going to get some good luck your way also. Well, after giving up those 4 runs, you got to feel a little dejected on that Milwaukee bench. But just watching Carpenter early, he is not on top of his game right now. He's been behind in the count, missing with that slider.
Carpenter has given up a walk, a hit batter, and now a single. Hairston fights it off. And remember, in the first inning, he had 2 on behind him with 1 out and fell behind Prince Fielder before Fielder hit the fly ball out to center, which ended up as a double play. Marcotte got caught too far off the bag at second base. Carpenter has worked it back to a 2-2 count against Jerry Hairston. And there's a base hit, almost hit Weeks. Had the hopscotch over that one. Back-to-back singles to start the second inning for Milwaukee.
Casey McGee started most of the games at third base for the Milwaukee Brewers, but Ron Renneke has said, I'm going to play Hairston while he's red hot, and he has been. Great hitting there, going the opposite way. And if you notice, both the hits from Weeks and from Hairston are going the other way against Carpenter. That's a real good game plan, as Weeks just skips past that baseball.
Had it hit him, would have been an out. Instead, 2 on, nobody out. Hairston with his 4th hit of this LCS already in the first 3 games. Yuniesky Betancourt at the plate. Brewers shortstop. And he rips one back up the middle, of base hit. Ricky Weeks around third on his way to the plate. And he will score as Betancourt drives in a run. The Brewers out to a fast start in the second. It's 4-1 St. Louis.
Well, Milwaukee's got plenty of firepower. We've seen this all year. And a fastball right down the middle. They're not trying to do too much with Carpenter right now, and that's got to be a good sign if you're Milwaukee, thinking you just gave up 4 in the first. You're going against Carp. Everybody's thinking the game is over, and rightfully so based on his last performance. But right now they're digging in there and chipping away and seeing what they can do.
3 singles to start it. 2 to the opposite field, 1 back up the middle. Betancourt has 9 hits in his last 5 postseason games as Lucroy takes a strike. Jonathan Lucroy, 2 for 7 in the first 2 games, had an RBI. That came in game 1. "36-year-old Chris Carpenter out of Manchester, New Hampshire." Ron mentioned his hockey background. He was an all-state baseball and hockey player in high school. Diehard Bruins fan. Well, the Brewers with plenty of offense. These were 2 of the top offenses in the National League. 4 comeback wins when trailing by 4 more runs this year. At a 7-run deficit they erased against Minnesota in interleague play at Target Field. Brewers already have as many hits in this inning as the Phillies did in 9 innings in game 5 against Carpenter. First and second, nobody out. Jonathan Lucroy takes a ball. And that's the pitch Carpenter relies on that has not been there for him so far. Carpenter talking to himself. Lucroy into right field. playable for Lance Berkman. Hairston's going to tag, as is Betancourt, and the out is made. Hairston will advance. So a fly ball to right, the first out for Chris Carpenter here in the second inning.
We were mentioning that Carpenter was talking to himself. The late, great Harvey Dorfman was a sports psychologist that really was good friends with Chris earlier in his career, and he uses a lot of those same things, trying to get rid of distractions on the mound, concentrate on executing the task at hand. But the one advantage that the Brewers might have here is in their ninth slot. Gallardo is an excellent hitter.
Gallardo hit .221 during the regular season. Very good numbers for a pitcher in the 9th spot. And a bunt. Safety squeeze was on there as Jerry Hairston was breaking. Ed Cedar, the Brewers third base coach.
The Brewers probably do this play better than anyone in the National League, and that is first and third, one out. You bunt that ball up the first base line. If it's executed properly, it's hard to defend it. Hairston gets a good jump, he can score on this play.
Problem is, you got one of the best first basemen in the baseball to be able to make that play.
And a fly ball to right. Bergman will make the catch. Tagging at third is Hairston, and he will score as the throw goes into second base. It is the Brewer pitcher who delivers the second run. 2 runs in for Milwaukee. A sac fly and an RBI for Giovanni Gallardo, and it's 4-2 St. Louis.
Boy, that's got to be a great shot in the arm for the Brewers to give up 4 in the bottom of the first and just chip away, like you said, John. Get a couple of runs back here and know that they can get some hits off Carpenter.
Renicky had Gallardo bunting on the first pitch. Let him swing away, and he delivers the run. And now Corey Hart with Betancourt at first base. Once this lineup turns over for Milwaukee, you get into some big power. Hart hit 26 home runs this year, has 1 home run in the postseason. Hart has hit 5 career home runs against the Cardinals, most in the majors against St. Louis. And a big swing and a miss. There's been some talk about Corey Hart's outfield play. Used to be one of the fastest players in the organization. He slowed a few steps and had one go off his glove last inning against David Freese. Could be a big play here, and it occurred in the first inning with 2 away.
Freese has gone to right field with some power, and I think right here, I think he's got it. And the ball just must carry just a little farther than he anticipates because it goes off the end of his glove. But when you see the route he was taking, it looked like he had it tracked the whole way. And unfortunately, a 2-out tough play that led to a run.
Much bigger ballpark, a fair ballpark in the words of Cardinal manager Tony La Russa. A lot of space in the outfield. Miller Park played small. A lot of balls flying out of that stadium throughout the first 2 games. Two and 2 is the count on Hart. And down he goes. Carpenter strikes out Corey Hart to end the inning. The Brewers get a pair. It's 4-2 St. Louis. You can get the latest insider analysis on today's hot topics, like Dennis Eckersley's discussing the National League Championship between the Cardinals and the Brewers and who he believes will come out on top. Go behind the mic with the biggest names in sports, presented by Allstate exclusively on SI.com. Beautiful Busch Stadium in St. Louis, downtown St. Louis. So far so good with the weather at this point. Some thunderstorms in the area as Giovanni Gallardo goes back to work. And back against Rafael Furcal to start the second inning. Cardinals brought 9 to the plate in the first, scored 4 runs. And Tapper back to the mound. Gallardo makes the play for out number 1. Just a light sprinkle coming down now. Talking to both managers before the game, and the question was presented, would you rather play this game, get it started, have it rain, and then have to make a decision on your starters, or move this game to tomorrow? And obviously that's not happening now, but run the risk of having to bring your aces back in a Game 7 scenario if necessary on short rest. Interesting that La Russa said, I'd rather get this one started tonight and have to worry about bringing your ace back as opposed to moving him back a day and coming back on short rest. Carpenter did not pitch well on short rest, and not something Giovanni Gallardo has done much of in his career either. They bounce it out to fielder. There is out number 2. 2 quick ones for Giovanni Gallardo. Here's the best of the game, brought to you by the Audi A8. And we're looking at Albert Pujols and where he ranks in Cardinal franchise history. Right at the top, which is where he is in just about every major offensive category. 14 home runs in the postseason for Pujols.
He's got a chance to be a pretty good player.
Yeah. There's not many players that play and just finished his 11th season. And if he stopped today, he'd be a Hall of Famer, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
When he gets in that box, he seems so menacing. And the way he takes pitches, he looks so relaxed. Like there's never been a pitch that's ever fooled him.
Pujols with an RBI double in the first inning. It was an off-balance swing, kind of a one-arm swing, but he hit it right in the barrel and drove it out to the warning track in left center and bounced it out of here. Mark McGuire, the Cardinal hitting coach. And there's a base hit. Albert keeps it going. 2 more hits tonight. A 2-out single for Albert Pujols. Busch Stadium, St. Louis. Busch Stadium number 3. And game 3 of this National League Championship Series. Brian Anderson with Ron Darling, John Smoltz, Craig Sager. And our terrific TBS crew, led in the truck by Glenn Diamond and Lonnie Dale. The series moves to St. Louis for the middle 3 games of this set. I'll be with you the next 3 nights from Busch Stadium. Matt Holliday takes a breaking ball in the dirt.
The reason I said earlier, I think the best way to approach the Cardinals lineup is walk Albert Pujols, is you got to make these guys do something behind them. And I know that you know, Berkman was hot. Now he hasn't been so much in this series. But I think that when a guy is going that good, Ron, I mean, you take your ego out of the play and you just say, okay, I'm going to put you on first base.
You're not going to do it to me. I'll tell you that. And Holliday's only had his hits have all been singles in the postseason.
Holliday just 2 postseason RBIs this year, but back in the regular season he had some success against Gallardo prior to the hand injury, and Holliday big opposite field power and a couple of home runs against Giovanni Gallardo during the regular season. One here at Busch Stadium, the other at Miller Park. Gallardo giving up more opposite field home runs than any other pitcher in the National League, and that plays right into the power of Matt Holliday.
One of the things that Gallardo's got to do right now is got to find a way to stay back a little bit. It's like top heavy. He's actually following through off of his pitch instead of staying back behind the rubber and throwing his pitch first. That's what makes him tough, when he's got that ball going down in the strike zone and not pulling off like that.
A very wild pitch. Albert to second base. That one barely made the dirt circle, and no chance for Jonathan Lucroy to block that one. Bounced over his head.
Interesting, Renicky looking at his catcher Lucroy and not the pitcher. Breaking pitch, you always have to anticipate that the ball is going to be in the dirt and go down and block it. He didn't, and that ball deflected right off his right hand, his finger. You can't backhand it when you're back there. Luke Roy's still young, still learning the position.
And now Gallardo behind 3-0. We'll see if Holiday has the green light. He takes a strike. Second consecutive at bat that he has taken a 3-0 pitch. We saw Berkman swing away 3-0 last inning.
Saw Gallardo when he was on that mound with that heavy breathing, John. It's almost like you hyperventilate sometimes when you're rushing the fastball up there. You were talking about staying back. He's also got to pitch into the right-handers. That's one of his strengths, and we've haven't seen maybe 2, maybe 3 inside so far.
And only given up 2 runs in his first 2 starts, both of those coming against the Arizona Diamondbacks. 4 in the first tonight for the Redbirds. Gallardo was the winner in game 1 of the LDS against Arizona and left with the lead in game 5. Did not get the win as the Brewers would move on with a victory. On the ground to Betancourt. Holiday retired and Gallardo a scoreless second inning. 2 of the Bucks were headed to the 3rd at Busch Stadium. This National League Championship Series coverage on TBS is presented by the new Capital One Cash Card. And the arch mowed into the outfield grass. Looks beautiful on a Wednesday night in St. Louis. It's the first game at Busch Stadium of this best-of-7 series that has turned into a best-of-5 with these 2 teams all even up at 1 apiece. And the Cardinals now have the home field advantage. The next 3 in St. Louis as Mark Kotsay on the first pitch way back in right field, and the Brewers are within a run as Mark Kotsay a little redemption here in the 3rd inning.
No one can be more relieved in this ballpark than Mark Kotsay after that swing on the first pitch.
Keep working up counts, kids. You knew that was coming.
Well, he walked in his first at bat, and he wasn't going to walk in this one. Jumped all over that high sinker from Chris Carpenter.
Kotsay not known for his power. He hit 3 home runs during the regular season, but no doubt about that one off the bat of Mark Kotsay. And it is now 4-3 St. Louis with Ryan Braun at the plate.
Talk about Carpenter being the old hockey player, Nigel Morgan the hockey player. Kotsay plus minus, get closer to even.
And that was the confrontation everybody was looking forward to. Nigel Morgan, Mark Kotsay in his spot, but Morgan against Chris Carpenter. Kotsay had an inside the park home run at the Metrodome in '06. So his 2nd career home run. Don Renicky playing a hunch for Kotsay's bat against Chris Carpenter. And we check in with Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, you're right. Nobody was happier to see that home run than Mark Kotsay himself came running the dugout saying, I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. Everybody came over and congratulated him, and he hugged everybody and said, the best part about it is I didn't have to slide. You guys.
Still wearing a little reminder of that slide on his chin under that beard. Not one of Mark Kotsay's best moments in the major leagues, but a good-natured attitude about it. There it is. Two balls, 2 strikes on Ryan Braun. He was hit by a pitch his last time up. Yeah, sounded like he broke his bat. That is falling fast, and that'll fall a base hit. So Ryan Braun on twice tonight. Well, he's had a big series already. That is his 5th hit. He's 5 for 9. And now the tying run is aboard here in the 3rd inning.
The Brewers have been able to cover a 4-run deficit. And just in case you're picking us up here, the face plant of Mark Kotsay and the double play in the first inning.
I'm going to have some fun with them tomorrow.
Broken bat, fielded to short for Call. Steps on the bat, throw to first in time. Outfield for Call, putting himself in harm's way with Braun coming in on him. Very athletic play to turn 2, and he takes Punto right out of the picture.
Well, the reason he had to take Punto out of the picture is that Punto has to play Prince Fielder to pull. Call knew that he had to make the play probably by himself, and turns to 6-6-3 double play. Punto was there, but he got there just a little late because of playing Fielder to pull. A nice play by Call.
2 Prince Fielder at-bats have produced 4 outs for Chris Carpenter and the Cardinals. And now the bases are empty for Ricky Weeks.
Well, as good as he was in Philadelphia with the curveball, it's been a little struggle for him to locate and that pitch. And that pitch is a weapon. It's what makes him so tough. It's a built-in change of speed. It changes the hitter's eyes. With that heavy sinker, they can't look for both areas. And right now, he just not have the luck with that curveball that he would like. And you can see him trying to make the in-game adjustments. When he gets it, though, watch out.
Carpenter has already given up 5 hits. 3 runs are in. The Brewers with 2 in the second. They've added 1 here in the third on the Kotsay home run. And a bouncing ball to Freeze. Nice easy hop. And the side is retired. Mark Kotsay doing it with his bat. On the first pitch he sees from Carpenter, a home run. Milwaukee within a run. The Cardinals are coming up. Now go to ChevyBaseball.com. Show off your MVP in the making. Baseball Chevrolet. (4-3) St. Louis. Cardinals jumped out to a 4-0 lead in the first inning. And the Brewers have answered with 3 unanswered. And now Lance Berkman will lead off. Giovanni Gallardo, a scoreless inning in the second. Bouncing ball with the shift on for Milwaukee. Berkman is retired.
Well, for Giovanni right here, it's a time to reset your brain now. You had an unbelievably bad first inning, but your team has gotten you back in the game. Try to find a way to make mechanical adjustments right now and get the pitches where you want. I know it's been frustrating. It's a 1-run game.
That's what you have to say to yourself, don't you, John? I'm losing 1-0. Don't even think about the 4 runs you gave up in the first.
Ron Renicky, his pitching coach Rick Kranitz, had some activity in the first inning with Gallardo on the mound. And John, you pointed it out. He was perhaps a batter away from coming out of this game. He retired Chris Carpenter, the pitcher at the plate, and the 9th batter of the first inning. And now suddenly he is back in it thanks to his offense. Yadier Molina. Count even to the ball and a strike.
See, to me right there, that's an example of when you're not right. He's trying to throw a fastball and he's fallen off. He cannot stay on that fastball and throw it to the area that he wants to. Every pitcher goes through some mechanical function. You don't want to go through it at this time. You got to find a way to get the ball to that area.
You're right, John. He's falling towards that first base side. It's really dragging his pitches across outside to the right-handed hitters.
On pitching, it could be just a fraction off that pulls you away. Look at his head go down, and he's just missing on the corners for what he wants to be. It's not looking inviting enough to the hitters. That's why he's missing out of the zone. When he's right, he's missing by an inch down in the strike zone, making it tough on umpires.
Molina hits one hard to center right at Mark Kotsay for out number 2. Squared up on a 3-1 pitch. And speaking of mechanics, and you're talking about Gallardo between innings, Dave Duncan, a mechanics guru, having a chat with Chris Carpenter.
It's the same thing. Your lead arm sometimes pulls you off of where you're trying to go. And when you need to have a spin on your breaking ball or a cutter that he relies on, if you're coming away with your left arm, pulling it out of the, it takes your right arm away from the delivery that you want. And it's just that much takes you away from being as good as this guy was in Philadelphia.
David Freese with 2 away, had an RBI double in the first inning. 11 postseason RBIs for David Freese, has 6 of them already in this LCS.
That's the best pitch he's thrown all night. And if there's anything that registers on that pitch, you just got to keep going to that. That right there felt good. That should look good. And to your pitching mechanics, you just got to find a way to repeat it.
You know, and against Freese, who has wore them out these first 3 games, finally some pitches in off the plate, knocking these St. Louis hitters off the plate, make them move their feet a little bit. Don't let them get so comfortable.
Going back with a curveball on a 1-2 pitch.
What you're really trying to do when you're pitching a guy like Gallardo is you want to slow the bat down and you want some ugly swings. And when he pitches in like that, that's what you get on that curveball. Just an ugly swing there by Freese, one of the few we've seen from him in 3 games.
Hey, look at the advanced scouting for Yovani Gallardo, and the differential between pitches. Does not throw the changeup very often anymore. It's mostly fastball, nearly 60% for Yovani Gallardo. And that one's inside. Freese turns it around. Well hit over the head of Braun. That bounces up and off the sign. And that is going to be a ground rule double. A doubles machine, David Freese. 2 of them here tonight. And the inning is extended for the Cardinals.
Well, Freese turned on this baseball. When you talked to Tony La Russa about David Freese, he said, listen, he's had so many injuries, it's hard to even gauge what kind of a player he could have been this season. But he sees him as a big run producer in the future.
Freese fractured his left hand in May. He missed 2 months of the regular season. Didn't return until late June. What a force he has been in this postseason. Runner at second, 2 away. Nick Punto at the plate.
Well, he was, if it weren't for him and a decision to keep him in the lineup, he was struggling early against the Phillies. And Tony La Russa and his coaches were struggling on who to put in, and they went with a hunch, and the rest is history. He's turned it around and been a big part of the Cardinals offense.
Of Lafayette High School here in St. Louis. Same high school as Ryan Howard. As Punto, a hot grounder right to Ricky Weeks, and the side is retired. Yovani Gallardo, 2 scoreless innings after his 4-run first. 4-3 Cardinals. Cardinals lead the Brewers. Game 3 of this NLCS. The Conan Blimp and aerial coverage are brought to you by AT&T. Rethink possible. And catch an all-new Conan with stuntman Stephen Ho and Dexter's Michael C. Hall. That's next after MLB postseason coverage only on TBS. And yes, even Conan has bought into the rally squirrel here in St. Louis. I know Craig Sager was doing a little squirrel hunting earlier, spotting squirrels. Not that kind of hunting. I don't know if he came up with anything or not. But there are a lot of squirrels out in St. Louis, Missouri. I can attest to that as Jerry Hairston Jr. leads off. Craig, any luck so far with the rally squirrels?
Yeah, they came out here, the Wildlife Federation from Missouri, and they caught 4 squirrels in the past couple of days, but the grounds crew, Ace Ventura, told me that one of them was let loose for good luck, and I did see it in section 448 before the game underneath a hot dog stand, so he is in the building.
Wow, he's got a long march down to the field. I got a feeling if the squirrel does show up tonight, it might be one of the largest ovations we'll see among all the Cardinals. Hairston off the end of the bat. Holiday is coming in, and he's got it for the out. Galloped his way to make that play. A sliding catch for Matt Holiday. Hairston is retired, 1 away.
Well, not a lot of speed. We talked about it before in both these outfields. But Holiday comes in and didn't really have to dive for that, but just cushioned the blow and made a nice catch.
Just a light mist falling here in St. Louis. It's been that way for the last 2 innings. Certainly not having a great effect on the game, and they're hoping it doesn't get any stronger than this.
The last 2 curveballs a little bit better by Carpenter. Now quite the contrast on his mechanics. He tries to keep his front shoulder quiet. Glove hand leads as he goes and throws a little bit more straight up.
Out in front, off the glove of Freese and into left field. And Betancourt, a big turn at first base. And we'll see how they score that one. Freese laid out for it. Well, if it gets by him, for call has a chance to throw out Betancourt, but he is aboard for the 2nd time, the Brewer shortstop.
Well, Freese has a lot of range. This is the proper way. Just go after everything that you can, just off the end of his glove, though. The thing about this play is if it gets to for a call, he's got such a great arm. He probably would have had a chance at Betancourt. Nice hustle there and turn.
Can't fault the effort of David Freese. That'll be a base hit. But certainly for call, Redding for that chance. Betancourt is 2 for 2. A man on with 1 away, and the catcher Lucroy at the plate.
See Carp hitting his back leg, trying to tell himself to stay back. And that ball leaks that far to the right. You're getting your body out in front of your arm. Both these pitchers having a little grind today with their mechanics, not quite as sharp as you would think before the game started. Tony La Russa singing the praises of Duncan again and what he's meant to the organization and the pitching staff.
Been together since 1983, John.
And La Russa and Duncan, they go back as minor league players. And then La Russa hired Duncan for the '83 season with the Chicago White Sox, and 29th consecutive season working with Tony La Russa. And La Russa says wherever Duncan goes, that's where I'll go to manage. In the dirt, Betancourt broke, then stopped, not wanting to challenge the arm of Molina.
Well, all Duncan did in his first year is just watch this block by Molina. The problem with Molina is even if he gets away from him a little bit, he has such a rocket arm that it's hard to take advantage of even when the ball gets away from him. Duncan, his first year pitching coach of the Chicago White Sox, only had a Cy Young Award winner, Lamar Hoyt.
Yeah.
Rich Dotson had a big year. Britt Burns, the big left-hander.
A line drive right to second, throw to first, not in time. Pujols was off the bag according to Mike Everett. Otherwise, it is an out at first base.
Well, nice hitting by Lucroy, but what happens here is that the line drive and the play to first base to try to get Betancourt. If you watch Albert, he tried to cheat, and by cheating he came off the bag and never was on the bag. Nice quick hands by Punto. But watch Albert. Albert tries to get off the bag early and cheat, which means he wasn't on the base at all.
Cheat in a legal sense.
That's right.
Trying to steal a call from the first base umpire.
Closer than I thought, though. I thought he came off a little earlier than that, but nice try by Albert.
Now the pitcher Gallardo is at the plate for Milwaukee. And on the first pitch, a chopper over to third base, and that is that for Chris Carpenter in the fourth. Gives up an infield hit, but a scoreless fourth inning. TBS Tuesday. Prepare for nerd domination. Don't miss the Big Bang Theory. All new to TBS Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night starting October 18th. Beautiful shot of the arch. Gateway to the west here on the banks of the Big Muddy, John, the Mississippi River.
Have you ever been up there?
No, I'm not going up there.
I haven't. Have you, Ron?
Yes, I have.
You have?
I have.
Nice.
Does it move a little? It has a little wobble, doesn't it, at times?
It's a long time ago, boys. 30 years ago, maybe.
It's a great setting here in a beautiful ballpark that opened in 2006. And the first year it was in operation, the Cardinals brought a World Series title here to St. Louis again. Their 10th championship. Chris Carpenter leads off against Giovanni Gallardo. Nine, 1-2 coming up against Gallardo. Carpenter then back to the top of the order with Furcal and John Jay. And if anybody gets on, Albert Pujols will bat in this fourth inning. Little tapper foul. Carpenter is such a big body at the plate. Looks like a strike zone that is a mile wide and a mile high. Handles the bat okay. Hit 155 during the regular season. Had 5 runs batted in. He's a good bunter. Gallardo trying to put him away. The 1-2. And he rips that one past Betancourt. A hot shot from Chris Carpenter. And the Cardinals are in business with their pitcher leading off the fourth inning. Now, moments ago, we spent a little time with Brewer manager Ron Renneke. Well, Ron, just for us, weigh the risks and the rewards for Mark Kotsay in your starting lineup tonight.
Well, he's had some interesting things already happen to him, though. Right off the bat, you know, getting doubled up and then the ball that he dives for. But like I said, he usually has some good things happen to him, and the home run was nice. And the walk, really, to get in on base in that first inning was good.
Ron, you've seen your team win many different ways. Dominant pitching, dominant hitting. And this might be one of those grinded out games and just finding ways to get runs and win a game.
Yeah, it may be. You know, I expected to be a lot more zeros up there from both sides than there are. So we'll see. Yo looks like he's settled down a little bit. Needs to keep pitching well. And like you said, hopefully we can scrap out some more runs.
And our thanks to Ron Renneke, the Brewers manager. We appreciate the managers giving us some insights in the middle of the game. Ron Renneke has seen his Milwaukee club win a lot of ways. They won 96 games, set a franchise record for victories in a regular season. They outlasted the Cardinals in the National League Central by 6 games this year, and these two Central Division rivals end up as the last two left in the National League, playing it off for a trip to the World Series. Furcal now ahead in the count, 3-0.
Don't like that ball strike ratio, even for Gallardo, who's usually a strike machine.
Ball 4, he walked him on 4 straight. And now the heavy lumber coming up for St. Louis. A single and a walk, 2 on, nobody out for John Jay.
Roy going out to have a little discussion with Gallardo on how they're going to go after John Jay, who's done just about everything in this series. We talked about it in the open. He can hit and run. We've seen him lay down a bunt. He sacrificed bunt in this postseason.
Well, here you got interesting choices right here. Typically, you would always bunt. You try to get second and third with 1 out, but you got Carpenter at second. You got Pujols on deck. That's probably going to change the strategy from Tony La Russa.
Jay's been outstanding in the postseason, 3 for 7 with runners in scoring position.
A successful bunt, you would think, would lead to a walk of Pujols. So will La Russa let Jay swing away? 2 on, nobody out. And Jay not bunting. Bouncing ball, Weeks to second. Betancourt fires to first in time. It's a double play. So the bunt not on, and John Jay rolls into a 4-6-3 double play ball.
Well, when you watch that at bat by John Jay, occasionally you're going to have an at bat by a youngster that seems a little out of the normal. Nice double play here by the Brewers, but after walking for a call, Jay swings at the first pitch. That would have been a good pitch to take. Put the pressure on the pitcher, Gallardo. Instead, lets him off the hook.
Second double play turn by Milwaukee. They turned one in the first inning. And here is Albert Pujols.
John, you facing him here?
No, no, I'm not. And he may not throw in 4 pitches. He might try to throw them all in and eventually walk them, but why have the stress?
Albert Pujols is 6 for his last 7 and has driven in 6 runs for the Cardinals. And when he's locked in like this, unlikely you'll get Albert Pujols to chase. Ron Renneke, the fewest intentional walks issued in the National League this year. He's a manager that does not like to put base runners aboard, but he's almost forced to here behind 2-0. And the Brewers will take their chances with Matt Holliday.
And this really is going to be the theme as this series moves forward. With Albert red hot, you're going to have to make Holliday, you're going to have to make Berkman beat you, and they both have great pedigrees. They've both been great in the postseason, and you'd have to say that the 5th place hitter behind Fielder in Milwaukee not as strong as the hitters behind Pujols in this series.
Yeah, but this is the actual play you need to have, and I think you can never be second guessed when you have the hottest hitter in the game, and certainly the guys behind him are really good hitters, but you got to take your chances with them right now.
Let's see if Milwaukee and Ron Renneke learned by some of the earlier games. Holliday's one of those guys likes to shoot the ball to the right side in RBI situations. Big gap between Fielder and Weeks.
Matt Holliday walked in the first inning. He would later score the 4th Cardinal run. Gallardo got in on his hands in the second inning and a ground ball out to short. The reason the Cardinals acquired Matt Holliday for spots just like this behind Albert Pujols. A swing and a miss. Pujols takes off. A pitch in the dirt. Pujols with some heads up base running. And now it's second and third with 2 away on the wild pitch from Gallardo.
Well, Albert might not run like he used to, but he is an excellent base runner, knows when to take advantage. Good curveball there from Gallardo, but Lucroy could not keep it close enough to him to stop Pujols from taking second base.
Off the end of the bat, slow roller, and that is a foul ball. Home plate umpire Sam Holbrook had the call. A ball and 2 strikes on Matt Holliday.
Boy, Carpenter taking off the hook here. Chris Carpenter on this ball, he's got to sprint home. He didn't know where to go, whether to go back to third or come home. And Hairston saw that he had an out, tried to get to that ball before it went foul. Nice call, though, by home plate umpire Sam Holbrook, whose call is fair or foul before the third base bag.
Well, if you're the catcher here, he swung at 2 pitches almost on the dirt. Good chance to throw another curveball down, try to get a block, because if he swings and misses, obviously you got to make a play at first. But right now, a big moment for the Milwaukee Brewers and Giovanni to get out of this inning, which started as a mess.
Another tapper foul. So Holliday hangs in there. Count remains at a ball and 2 strikes.
Problem with throwing a curveball sometimes, when you're trying to throw it for a strike, it's hard sometimes to get it in the zone. Sometimes when you're trying to throw it out of the zone, occasionally you'll make a mistake and it'll end up in the zone.
Well, right here, the hitter has shown you he's been real aggressive down. All you got to do is bounce it. You might get a swing and miss for strike 3.
See what Gallardo has in mind. 2-strike pitch in the dirt. Good block by Jonathan Lucroy. Carpenter has to stay put. And Holiday does not bite. Already 3 wild pitches tonight for Yovani Gallardo. Clayton Kershaw did it in 09 against the Cardinals. Credit the aggressive base running of St. Louis. I beg your pardon, it was Kershaw against the Phillies.
Does he take one shot upstairs, John, about neck high with a fastball? Go back to the curveball. If he
I wouldn't mess
swing?
with it. Yeah,
okay.
I would stay down. He's aggressive down. He did go up. Good job.
And he strikes him out. Matt Holliday goes down swinging, slams his bat. Gallardo is out of a mess.
The National League Championship Series on TBS is presented by the new Capital One Cash Card for the people who want 50% more cash. And brought to you in part by new Southern Comfort Fiery Pepper. So coat with a kick of Tabasco.
Settling in here as we have 4 in the books. Chris Carpenter is ready to go to work. 5th inning from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. And Corey Hart leading off. See the light rain falling here. It's been misting or raining pretty much most of the night. The first inning was a dry inning, but other than that, we've had some precipitation. 4-3. The Cardinals scored 4 in the first inning. Brought 9 men to the plate. The Brewers got 2 in the second, added 1 on a Katse home run in the third. Corey Hart was the final out of the second inning. He's 0 for 2 against Carpenter tonight.
That's one of the better cutters he's thrown. Some of them he's gotten away with being flat over the middle of the plate. He's trying to catch obviously the outside part of the plate on that cutter, working off that 2-seamer that comes back on that side of the plate.
Yovani Gallardo, a big strikeout, his first strikeout of the ball game, punching out Matt Holliday with 2 in scoring position to get through the 4th. Cardinals had 2 on to start the inning, unable to score. Looks like Mark McGwire is good on siege for the rest of the game.
That's to the week.
And a foul tip right into the middle Molina. That's a strikeout for Carpenter. 1 away. Moments ago, we spent a little time with Cardinal manager Tony La Russa. Well, Tony, this is an unusual game, more so than what we thought with the 2 aces on the mound. What are you seeing from the work on the mound with both pitchers tonight?
Well, they're just not sharp. Gallardo's getting sharper. He made a couple of good pitches down to get the double play ball, but you know, Carp started out, looked like he was a little out of whack, up a lot. Now he's getting a little better, but they're not sharp starting out, and they have a tendency to get sharper as they get on.
David Freese got off to a slow start, but he's been very impressive in this series.
Beg your pardon?
David Freese has been impressive in this series.
Well, he just gets better and better, and through his second year, really, he's got a great career ahead of him, doing exactly what you're seeing here. Get a lot of big hits.
And we appreciate Tony La Russa giving us a little time between innings. Mark Katse batting for Milwaukee with 1 away. Katse on the first pitch he saw in the 3rd inning. He led off the 3rd inning. He hit 1 out. 416-foot home run measured for Mark Katse. Not known for his power, but that home run brought the Brewers within a run. And Katse walks on 4 straight in front of Braun. And Tony La Russa hit it right on the head. 2 pitchers that just aren't sharp. They have the potential to dial it in at any moment, but as of right now, it's been a battle for both.
Yeah, right now Carp's going, instead of up and down, it's down and out. He's coming out of pitches. That's why you're seeing that sinker sail up. That's not typical of a Chris Carpenter start. There's no guarantees in baseball. Even if you've coming off a gem, a 1-0 game, you still got to be able to repeat your mechanics. And when you can't repeat your mechanics, flaws will show up in your pitching.
Here is Ryan Braun with one away. In the air, right field, had him out in front. Lance Berkman makes the catch. Kotze is going to tag. Here comes the throw, and Kotze is into second base. That ball really traveled. Kind of a one-handed swing. Braun flies out for the second out. And now it's going to be Prince Fielder. And back to the discussion about walking hitters intentionally. Got a base open at first.
But you have a lead, and also Ricky Weeks probably hits Carpenter better than anyone in the Brewer lineup.
Dave Duncan on his way out.
This is one of those games you very rarely see Carpenter getting into the fifth and get this out here. You might not see him the rest of the game. The St. Louis has gone to the bullpen early and often this entire series, and Carp hasn't been able to correct it.
Carpenter's spot in the batting order due up fifth in the bottom of this fifth inning. So a discussion concerning Prince Fielder.
When you're a veteran pitcher and such a successful pitcher like Carpenter, pitching coach might come out to you, John, and say, hey, do you want the big guy, or what do you want? What do you want to do here?
Well, those are always interesting conversations. I usually would prefer him to tell, you know, you don't need reminders of what the guy at the plate. You either say, go get him or walk him.
Or you make the decision, not me.
I don't want to hear the pitch around carefully conversation.
Brewers do not have a run scored with 2 outs in this LCS. 0 for 12 with runners on base. Still a light rain that is a little more of a nuisance than it was last inning. Tying run at second as Fielder looks at ball 2. Prince Fielder, a big power hitter, you know about that. But the fact that he walked more than he struck out this year, at 107 walks during the regular season, 106 strikeouts. He led the National League in intentional walks this season. And now Molina on his way back to the mound.
A lot of discussion. I honestly don't. When you're out there, John, you don't want to have this much discussion because it leads to being in between of what you want to do. Do you want to go after him? Do you want to pitch around him? Do you want to throw a 2-0 curveball here or a 2-0 fastball?
Well, honestly, if Carp was a little more confident with what he was doing in mechanics, he could do whatever he wants. And I think that's why we're having more discussions and indecision, because he hasn't been able to put the ball where he wants to more times than not.
Now, like the Cardinals, the Brewers are an aggressive team with 3-0, and knowing that, Tony La Russa issues the intentional walk. So Carpenter trying to get Fielder to bite. He does not, and Prince will draw the intentional walk. 2 walks in the inning for Chris Carpenter, 2 on for Milwaukee, with Ricky Weeks coming up. Ricky Weeks has a home run history against Chris Carpenter on June 11th. Weeks to the opposite field. So much opposite field power from Weeks. And he drove one out of the ballpark. 6 for his last 9 with 3 home runs against Carpenter. That includes the hit tonight. He's 1 for 2. And his base hit in the second inning was to right field. The number 5 hitter, the Achilles heel for Milwaukee, on a swing and a miss. Tying run and Kotze at second. Fielder the go-ahead run at first. Ball and a strike on Ricky Weeks.
Ron Renicky hoping that Weeks can bust out in this RBI situation. 1 for 10 in the postseason with Risp.
Weeks hit a 2-run home run in game 2 on Monday. And he lays off 2 balls and a strike. Carpenter's bread and butter pitch has not been there for him most of the night tonight. That cut fastball. Fernando Salas loosening in the St. Louis bullpen. Carpenter could be running up against the end of it as well.
Weeks in his first at bat hit a cutter to right field, a bullet. His next at bat faced that same cutter, tried to pull it and grounded out to David Freese. Going to right field is the strength for Ricky.
Right off the end of the bat. Had him fooled on that pitch.
Maybe his 2 best curveballs of the night for Carpenter in this at bat.
Absolutely. No need to make it any better. We all do it as pitchers, trying to throw an even better curveball. Anything over the middle plate breaking down. When he's missed, he's pulled him a little bit to the other side of the plate and not inviting enough for the hitter to swing at.
Here's a big pitch coming. 2-2 on Weeks with 2 on. Ball 3. Did not chase. Well, now the runners will be in motion. Kotze and Fielder will get a head start with the pitch. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs in the inning. There they go, and a swing and a miss. Carpenter strikes him out. His best pitch of the at-bat, inning over. And here's a look at the State Farm state of the game. And it was a big start for the St. Louis Cardinals. 4 runs, the first 4 batters in the first inning all scored. Mark Kotze answered in the 3rd inning after the Brewers scored twice in the 2nd. Kotze with a leadoff home run in the 3rd inning, his 2nd career postseason homer. The first one that went over the fence in the postseason. His last one was an inside the Parker while playing for the Athletics. That's where we stand. We've got a good ball game going here. 4-3 is our score as we go to the Cardinal 5th inning. And it's going to be Lance Berkman to lead off. Berkman, Molina, David Freese against Gallardo. First ball swinging. Pop up to Betancourt for out number 1.
Well, you can see why these Brewers won 96 games. Courageous effort, not only by Gallardo after giving up those 4 first-inning runs. He's come back and pitched much better, but also the offense to chip away.
Rick Kranitz and Ron Renicky in a discussion moving forward with the pitching. And a swing inning for Yovani Gallardo. But it's the kind of game that aces can deliver when they're struggling, laboring on the mound like Carpenter and Gallardo have been tonight. They still find themselves right in the middle of it. And how about Chris Carpenter making the biggest pitch of the night, striking out Ricky Weeks with 2 on. Brewers let an opportunity go by.
See Dunk talking about some of the things you were talking about, John, pulling his head out, kind of dragging that pitch across the plate. You might be ready for a position, you know? A little pitching coach in your future?
Well, I've watched Carp obviously up close, and when he's on, and we got a chance to do that game in Philadelphia, and it just,
There's nothing you can do with him when he's on and throwing that cutter just off the plate, two-seamer back, and that curveball. The curveball has not been a factor tonight. Threw a good one to Weeks and then followed it up with a great slider cutter to end it.
Another one in the air, and this will stay playable for Prince Fielder. Out number 2. 2 pop-ups as Fielder wipes his eyes. Let's take you back to the strikeout on Ricky Weeks.
Well, he stays on it. See that cutter just enough on the plate and go off the plate to get it off the barrel of the bat. This is a pitch that looks like it's going to come into the hitter, and then of course just about an inch or two works its way away from the right-handed hitter.
And isn't that the way you judge the elite pitchers of the game? When they have their good stuff, they're going to have a great game. It's when they don't have their stuff in games like this that they're courageous, they stay out there, they get outs.
2 gone. Gallardo facing David Freese, who rips one to right. Another base hit for David Freese. A star in the making. David Freese, his 3rd hit of the night. And we check in with Craig Sager with more on the St. Louis native.
Well, you know, at the top of that, Tony La Russa was praising David Freese, predicting the great career ahead of him. Well, it all began right here, suburban St. Louis and Wildwood. We went over to his mom's house. Look what we found. His first Little League cap, his Ozzie Smith glove, his Bob Gibson jersey, his Mark McGuire batting helmet, and this is what she says is the ball he hit over the neighbor's bushes for his first home run. Back to you guys.
Good stuff. Yeah, and all the artifacts from the Freese household. It's a great story in the Post-Dispatch today by Derek Gould on David Freese and the fact that he actually quit baseball after high school. He was so burned out with the game. There's a young David Freese. Lafayette High School. Went to Missouri. They transferred. He was an older player in college. Still in college at the age of 23. Came from the Padres to the St. Louis Cardinals in a Jim Edmonds trade. Hard to believe a guy with this much talent would give up on the game of baseball, but it's one of my fears right now for youth baseball. They play year round, and you can get burned out so easily. Sometimes you just need to get away, and as Derek Gould mentioned in his article, the fact that Freese stepped aside from baseball is probably the reason he was rejuvenated, and now he's flourishing in the major leagues.
Without a doubt, that's the #1 complaint I have for youth baseball right now. Overuse, overabuse, and they think that you got to keep doing it. They're speeding up these kids' development by the age of 11 or 12. If you're not in a system somewhere, you got no chance of making it to the big leagues. Couldn't be farther from the truth. These kids need to enjoy life and play other sports.
And the specialization of it. Play all the sports. Have a blast playing all the sports. They'll develop all those different kind of muscles that you'll have in basketball or football or baseball.
So that is our sermon for the night on baseball and all sports. And there's certainly other elements you could take. You know, watching Chris Carpenter tonight, he brings that hockey mentality to the ballpark, and it's because of his hockey background he's able to pitch and overcome. He's got the toughness.
It's a disservice to young kids. You don't find professional baseball. Professional baseball finds you. That's how it's always worked.
2 balls, 2 strikes. There are 2 men out with Freese at first. Nick Punto. And he lays off, and the count goes full.
But by the way, that's the same in the accordion industry, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Accordion players are getting burnt out.
Your story with the accordion is a sad one.
I had to put it down. The age of 7.
Gallardo trying to pitch through the 5th. Freese will be on the move with this 3-2 pitch. There he goes. And Punto fouls it away. Well, there have been some key at-bats. Obviously, the at-bats are heightened, a lot more pressure-packed in a league championship series. But going back to the first inning, the double play ball from Yadier Molina. Cardinals scored 4 runs, but that could have been a much bigger inning for St. Louis.
Well, the 4th inning, they let Giovanni off the hook. 1st and 2nd, struggling. First pitch, ground ball, double play with Pujols coming up.
Runner goes, 3-2, strike called on the outside corner. Giovanni Gallardo digging down deep. has not given up a run since the first. And we go to the 6th inning. This National League Championship Series coverage on TBS is presented by the new Capital One Cash Card. A sea of red here at Busch Stadium, St. Louis. And a terrific ball game so far, 4-3. A 4-run Cardinal first. Brewers scored the last 3, and it's a 1-run game as we go to the 6th inning of the new pitcher for the Redbirds, Fernando Salas. Carpenter is out after 5.
Well, he can do it all. He's pitched in a lot of different situations, closed out some games. Now he's just trying to close out the 6th inning. Cardinals did not make a double switch, so it'd be pretty much one and done.
Jerry Hairston Jr. leads off for Milwaukee. A hit tonight against Carpenter. He was 1 for 2. Carpenter leaves with a chance to win. And if the Cardinals take this one to the finish line, it will be Carpenter's 7th career postseason win, and he would go to 5-0 in his home ballpark. A pop-up in the infield. One away for Salas. Well, pound for pound king Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao puts his welterweight title on the line against 3-division world champion Juan Manuel Marquez in the 3rd and biggest fight of their fierce rivalry. That'll be Saturday, November 12th, live on pay-per-view.
Well, in game 1 of the division series against the Phillies, the Cardinals bullpen gave up 5 earned runs in 2 2/3 innings pitched. Now, since then, 20 innings, only 4 runs. They've been really the difference maker in why the Cardinals are here in game 3 against the Brewers.
And it was a bullpen during the regular season, much maligned. Only the Washington Nationals had more blown saves than the St. Louis Cardinals this year. And yet here they are in the LCS as Betancourt flies to Jay for out number 2. First time the Brewers shortstop has been retired tonight. And 2 quick outs for Fernando Salas. Jonathan Lucroy will hit for Milwaukee. The Brewers are trying to wipe out a dismal road record in the postseason. Got to go all the way back to 1982 to find their last road victory in the playoffs. These two teams matching up in the World Series of '82. The Cardinals winning that World Championship. That was their 9th world title. 7-game postseason road losing streak. Got to go back to game 1 of the World Series in '82. And to refresh your memory, it was at Busch Stadium number 2. Some lopsided games in that World Series. It ended up going 7. Harvey's wall bangers, Paul Molitor, Robin Yount, Jim Gander, Caldwell. Lucroy in the air to left field. 3 outs in the air. A good inning for Fernando Salas. A quick 1-2-3. Cardinals coming up, bottom of the 6th.
The National League Championship Series on TBS is brought to you by Chevrolet, proud to support youth baseball in cities and towns across the country, and by the Samsung Galaxy S2. That's the wonder of Samsung.
Under a steady light rain under the lights at Busch Stadium. Game 3 of this National League Championship Series. It is 4-3 Cardinals. And LaTroy Hawkins is the new pitcher for Milwaukee. Giovanni Gallardo and Chris Carpenter now both out of the game after 5 innings. Hawkins was hit by a line drive against the Arizona Diamondbacks in the division series. Busted up his knuckles a little bit, but he did come back and pitched on Monday in game 2, and after a day off, back on the mound for Milwaukee. Alan Craig is the pinch hitter for Fernando Salas. And he rips out with the left, just over the glove of Hairston. Craig thinking about 2, and he'll stop around first. Ryan Braun's got a big arm out in left field, and Alan Craig settles for a single and a good start for St. Louis. John, tonight's pitching comparison brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Looks like this one will be up to the bullpens the rest of the way as Gallardo and Carpenter are out.
Yeah, a lot of base runners on the pass and a lot more than we expected when this game started. They went as far as they could, as hard as they could, and certainly grinding it out wasn't their best game, but each team is still in the game, and it now will be decided by the bullpens.
Top of the order, Rafael Furcal for St. Louis. And he bunts right through it. Actually a foul tip. My question to you guys, looking ahead now, and managers are always forward thinking, do the 5 innings by Gallardo and Carpenter bring them more into play for a game 7, possibly a game 6?
I think if your team is down, it definitely brings them into play for the game 6. And for the Milwaukee Brewers, I think the reason it might be in play for game 6 is because Sean Markham has struggled in his starts in the postseason, and he is the game 6 starter so far.
Furcal bunts. Hairston bobbles, and a low throw dug out by Fielder at first base. After all of that, a sacrifice bunt for Rafael Furcal.
Troy Hawkins has a rare, you see this play right here. It comes in hard, trying to make the play in the air, but couldn't quite do it. And was able to get the out at first. Good dig by Prince.
You know, it's interesting. If he made that play in the air, he would have had an easy double play at first base. Not able to come up with it. Nice play by Prince.
Could have been disaster for Milwaukee with a wet baseball that Hairston picked up. But Furcal executes a sacrifice bunt. That puts John Jay in the box with a runner at second base. Cardinals by a run, a chance to add to it here in the 6th inning.
What I was going to say is you rarely see a pitcher set his hands almost behind him. It takes him a while to get the ball to home plate. You wonder if there's an opportunity to steal a base. You know, they bunted him over to second, but he's got his hands way back, and he hides the ball okay because he doesn't overpower the hitters, but they don't pick up the ball sometimes as quick as they should.
Well, who also does that is playing here in October, Valverde, the closer for the Detroit Tigers. He also does that where he brings his glove and rests it on his right hip.
Well, Troy Hawkins will be 39 in December. Had shoulder surgery last season. Was pitching for the Brewers. Off to a rough start with a bum shoulder that required surgery. Came back once the season began this season, but didn't really have his fastball until after the All-Star break. He used to rush it up there in the upper 90s. Now more of a mid-90s pitcher. Ron Renicky has a ton of experience leading up to his closer, John Axford. Takashi Saito, LaTroy Hawkins, Francisco Rodriguez, the setup man. The Brewers feel like this is the strength of their ball club. The late inning relief. Cardinals, the best hitting team with runners in scoring position this year.
The strategy is obviously get this guy out right here and a free pass to Pujols and make the next guy beat you. Try to get something in the dirt. He doesn't really throw the ball. He throws a cutter and a fastball, but try to get something down to swing over the top.
Alan Craig at second, and the 1-2. Jay a little late, fouls it back. John Jay Been a big story in this series already. Jay on base twice in front of Pujols in the opener Sunday, and then his breakout game, a 3-hit game Monday in game 2. Scored 3 runs as Pujols was banging out 4 hits. In the air to left, Braun is over. And he's got it for out number 2. Craig retreats, a big out for LaTroy Hawkins, and now the Brewers can have a little freedom with Albert Pujols with a base open at first.
Well, Brian, you said that Ron Renneke does not like to walk or intentionally walk hitters this season, but I think his hand is forced by Pujols. Or maybe not. Looks like Rick Kranitz, the pitching coach, is going to come out and talk to him. They probably looked at the numbers, and they're going to talk to Hawkins and see if they want to try to get Pujols out. I think discretion the better part of valor right now.
Well, you go back to Albert's last at bat. Now on the scorebook, it looks like an intentional walk, but remember the Brewers pitched to Pujols and he didn't chase, and then they eventually, after the 2-0 count, they walked him. And now it looks like Rick Kranitz with LaTroy Hawkins going through a game plan with Albert Pujols this time around.
The problem you have is that Albert knows what's going on. He's one of the more intelligent hitters in this game. So what he's going to do is go up there and sit on a first pitch breaking pitch, just like he did in the first inning to get that big double in left center field. He knows how they're going to try to pitch him, and he's going to act accordingly.
And
no other option.
Or not pitching. There you go.
Yep. All of that for an intentional walk, and maybe Rick Kranitz's appearance had more to do with Matt Holliday than Albert Pujols.
I was going to walk back to the hotel if we.
You were?
Yeah, if he pitched to him here.
Oh boy, there was a lot of pressure on Renneke then.
Yeah.
I'm glad things worked out the way they did.
Yeah.
But you know, we laugh here with the walk again to Pujols, but there's going to be a lot of pressure on Holliday, not only in this at bat, his last at bat, but for the rest of this series, because this will be a common occurrence if he can't come up with a big hit.
So it is Matt Holliday back in the crosshairs again. He was at the plate in the 4th inning with 2 on. Ultimately, in his at-bat, it was 2nd and 3rd for Holliday. Gallardo struck him out.
And, you know, sometimes you're going to get beat with this, but that's the right thing to do. I mean, you can't flirt with a guy who has torn you up the last two games. This is not second-guessing if it doesn't work for the Brewers. This is the proper strategy.
2 on, 2 out. Holliday a swing and a miss. The other part of the Holliday story is the fact that he has an injured hand. It knocked him out of the first 4 games of the League Division Series. He has not homered in his last 55 at-bats. That covers the postseason as well. His power numbers have been down, but there's still a hefty media guide entry for all the damage he's done in his career. Oh, and knocked the bat right out of his hands there. 0-2 the count. For me, this is very similar to what the Yankees were dealing with Alex Rodriguez and that hand injury. The slugging percentage numbers weren't there. There have been some singles and some good at-bats with walks.
And the same kind of great hitter in front of Alex in that lineup, a hot hitter in Robinson Cano.
Holliday does have 3 hits in this series. All of them singles. 0-2 is the count. Just got a piece. Count remains at no balls and 2 strikes.
Tony's going to have some tough decisions to make. Sorry, Brian, if Holliday's injury does not allow him to hit the way he can hit, Would you think down later in the series and maybe moving David Freese up? A more prominent role the way he's hitting.
Well, Freese has 3 hits tonight. Well, this at bat by Holiday will tell the tale as we move forward in this series. 2 on, 2 out. Still an 0-2 count. That's where Gallardo got Holiday in the 4th inning. Not quite that high, but he struck him out on a high fastball. Doesn't chase, and the count evens at 2-2. Two players that have battled injuries all year. Hawkins coming back from the shoulder surgery. Holiday's had numerous injuries. And a swing and a miss. Hawkins strikes out Matt Holliday. Again, he goes down with 2 on. The Brewers survive another inning at Busch Stadium. We go to the 7th. Cardinals by a run.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
Good ball game going tonight. Game 3 of this National League Championship Series. New pitcher Lance Lynn, the hard-throwing right-hander. He has appeared in all 3 games of this LCS without a run allowed. And public enemy number 1 in St. Louis, Nigel Morgan, announces the pinch hitter.
He got their attention, didn't he?
Tony Plush got their attention.
We welcome all of you coming over from Fox as the Rangers upending the Detroit Tigers. 4-3 Cardinals. St. Louis scored 4 in the first. Nigel Morgan takes a strike. The Cardinals getting 4 runs. The first 4 batters to start this game against Giovanni Gallardo all reached, all scored. But they have not scored since. The Brewers got 2 in the second, added 1 in the third. Now Nigel Morgan batting for the first time. That was news when we hit the air today. Ron Renneke deciding to go with Mark Kotsay in center field and batting second as opposed to Nigel Morgan. I spoke to Nigel Morgan earlier today. Ron Renneke had told us in our meeting with the manager that Morgan was understanding. He certainly knew why the move was made. Kotsay's numbers against Chris Carpenter much better than Morgan's. And Nigel Morgan saying, that's a good call by the skipper, but I'll get my chance. And he referenced a game in Arizona, and he came in for Carlos Gomez, had success during the regular season. Ball and 2 strikes for Lance Lynn on Nigel Morgan. Chris Carpenter goes 5 innings. Giovanni Gallardo goes 5 innings. It is Carpenter who leaves in line for the victory. Morgan to center field. John Jay eases back at the top of the arch. 1 gone. And a satisfying out for Cardinal fans to start the 7th inning. One gone. Back to the top of the order now, Corey Hart. Lance Lynn has done a nice job for Tony La Russa in this series. had a scoreless inning in game 1. He threw 1 pitch in game 2. Got a double play ball to end the inning. And a 12-3 Cardinal win. But at the time, a much tighter ball game. It was 7-2. The Brewers had the bases loaded. The crowd at Miller Park was up and loud. Lynn facing a home run hitter in Ricky Weeks, and on the first pitch he threw, he got him on a double play.
Well, he's got a lot of life on that fastball. If he keeps it down and kind of gets under it and actually rises a little bit, even though a pitch can't rise, and he's got a nice little curveball to complement it.
Lynn was not on the LDS roster, added to the LCS roster. As Hart in the air to center field, John Jay wants it. Corey Hart 0 for his last 10 now. And Lance Lynn has 2 men out in the 7th. Hey, a reminder, catch all the action of the 2011 Major League Baseball League Championship Series on TBS and Fox. And join the postseason debate at MLBFancave.com. Follow the action on Twitter with the hashtag postseason. Legends are born in October. The Cardinal bullpen has retired 5 straight. Salas, a quick 3 up, 3 down, 6th inning, and now Lynn 2 up, 2 down in the 7th, facing Marcotte. Kotze homered in the 3rd inning on the first pitch of the 3rd inning from Carpenter. The last Brewers run. Had a very eventful first 3 innings, did Marcotte, on the base paths, in center field, and at the plate.
Well, Lynn worked very hard this summer. He was on the disabled list. They moved him to the 60-day disabled list and did a lot of the exercises for that bad oblique that he had to get back and be ready for the postseason, and just added to the roster.
Kotze into right, playable for Berkman. And 3 more outs in the air. The Cardinal bullpen holding serve. 2 scoreless, Salas and Lynn. St. Louis still on top. St. Louis leading Milwaukee 4-3 as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Stretch time here at Busch Stadium as this series moves to St. Louis. Brian Anderson with John Smoltz and Ron Darling. And Ron, the Cardinal fans, they're used to a lot of winning here. 10 World Series titles in St. Louis. Both starters today, though, out early, and this starting to have a bullpen kind of feel to it the rest of the way.
It really is, and the bullpen for Milwaukee in this series so far has struggled a little bit, and the bullpen for the Cardinals has been great. But I think there was a big inning by Hawkins to get through that 6th inning for the Brewers, set him up for a chance to make a comeback.
John, are these 2 teams set up to bring these 2 aces back at some point prior to Game 7 in this series in your mind?
I think they are. We expected a close game. That's what we've got. The bullpen's going to decide it, but I think they're both going to come back early.
All right, very good. Well, the exciting action at Comerica tonight. That was Game 4. The Bank of America game break. We take you to Detroit. And one of the big defensive plays, Nelson Cruz is a story here. This is the first part of the story. On the fly ball from Young, he guns down Cabrera at the plate. And that's how the inning would end to the 8th. So it stayed tied until the 11th. Valverde on the mound. Mike Napoli drives in a run for the Rangers to give them the lead. 4-3 at that point in the 11th. And then with 2 on, Nelson Cruz delivers again. What proved to be a game-winning home run. It was a 3-run homer. Remember, he had a walk-off grand slam for the Rangers earlier in that series. And Ron, how about Nelson Cruz coming up with a big home run ball when it counts the most?
I mean, 10 home runs in 23 games for that young man. You saw the throw, one of the best arms in the American League in baseball from right field, and just having a magical league championship series so far.
You can catch that one tomorrow on Fox with Joe Buck, Tim McCarver. Nelson Cruz, a former Brewer minor league farmhand before being traded away.
They got a big pitching matchup tomorrow for the Tigers. They got their main man going, Verlander, against C.J. Wilson.
Rangers up 3-1 now. Takashi Saito back to the action here at Busch Stadium. Bottom of the 7th in a 1-run game. Takashi Saito in relief of LaTroy Hawkins and facing Lance Berkman to start this 7th inning. And Saito hits Berkman on the first pitch.
Well, he's trying to go in with a fastball. I don't know what that is, just a crossfire, and certainly not what he wanted to do.
Well, usually when the Brewers have gotten to Saito, Axford, K-Rod, as you see Nigel Morgan in center field, they have been outstanding. 12 innings they've pitched and only given up a run in the postseason.
Kotsay moves over to right, so Corey Hardy is out. Now the Cardinals had a leadoff runner aboard in the 6th inning. Could not score. The Cardinals have been knocking at the door on 2 occasions. The Cardinals have had 2 on with Matt Holliday at the plate, and he has struck out twice. Gallardo struck him out in the 4th. Hawkins struck him out last inning. We'll see if the bunt is in order once again for La Russa with a runner at first. Molina takes a strike.
If you're Molina, you cannot allow Hairston to get that close to you when you're trying to put down a bunt. Now most pitchers, they would slug bunt. Molina's a hitter. He certainly could hit it by him real easy.
And the question of who covers second base if you're the Brewers defensively. Molina uses the opposite field very well if there was a hit and run on. No balls and a strike. Takashi Saito. Molina squares, takes a ball.
You know, maybe if this was not a 1-run game, you'd want to maybe get a pinch runner here for Berkman. But since you're so close, you don't want to take one of your good at-bats out. Berkman stays on first. There's the signs from Jose Oquendo. Molina's got him.
The Cardinals have one of their hottest hitters coming up next in David Freese with 3 hits tonight, which could certainly influence the decision here for La Russa. Runner goes, hit and run is on. Fly ball to right. Kotsay just out there, makes the catch and fires late. Berkman had to stop and retreat. Pulled the bunt off, put the hit and run on. Out number 1.
Well, on the hit and run here, Molina wants to hit a ball on the ground or a line drive to right field. Got too much air under this ball, and easy play for Kotsay in right field.
Now the Cardinals with a hot hitter coming up. David Freese with 3 hits tonight. Has 2 doubles and a single. He drove in a run in the 1st inning. Had a 2-out RBI double in the 1st. Has 5 hits in his last 5 at-bats. Freese has driven in 6 runs in the LCS, has 11 RBIs in the postseason this year. Major production from the 7th spot in the order as Saito spins one in for a strike.
Well, here's the deciding run right now. This was the 4th run of the game, a fly ball with 2 outs that could not be tracked down. That's the difference in the game right now for the Brewers. Or this game will be tied 3-3. Seemed like a harmless play, 4-0 already, but the Brewers have gotten back in the game and trailed by that 1 run.
It was ruled a double. After the 4-run first, Milwaukee with 2 in the 2nd. And then a home run by Mark Kotsay in the 3rd off Carpenter. Both starters out after 5 innings. Carpenter gave up 3 runs in 5 innings. Giovanni Gallardo 4 runs in the 5 innings, and all 4 in the first, of course. Bouncing ball, got a chance for 2. Betancourt to Weeks, the turn at second. And a double play for Milwaukee as Takashi Saito faces 3 batters in the 7th, and we go to the 8th. 1-run game. Celebrate America's game with Chevrolet. Upload a picture of your youth player and you could win tickets to the 2011 postseason among hundreds of other MLB prizes. Be a part of the Chevy Centennial celebration and enter for a chance to win at ChevyBaseball.com. Brian Anderson with John Smoltz and Ron Darling, Craig Sager. And this one is headed to the 8th. Cardinals 4, Brewers 3.
Well, Lance Lynn being asked to get 4 outs here. He'll face the right-handed hitter Braun. Probably see Zepchinski come in to face Prince Fielder.
It's the heart of the Milwaukee batting order with Braun, Fielder, and Weeks. 3 All-Stars coming up against rookie pitcher Lance Lynn.
It's best chance for Milwaukee to tie the game or get ahead here in the 8th. They've got the meat of their order, and there'll be a lot of strategy employed here by Tony La Russa.
Lynn went through his full windup, but everyone had called time, and he was the only one who didn't know it. The big advantage that La Russa chose for this series was his bullpen. Adding another arm out there has given him a lot of latitude, and of all the managers in baseball, when it comes to matchups with the bullpen, I don't think anyone does it any better.
La Russa has 8 relievers at his disposal. Skip Schumacher was on the active roster for the LDS. He has an oblique injury, and instead of replacing Schumacher with a position player, La Russa and Dave Duncan went with an extra pitcher. Lance Lynn was that pitcher, not on the LDS roster. Braun, a shot right to second base. Nick Punto, out number 1. And with Prince Fielder coming up, La Russa on his way to the home plate umpire to make a double switch. So Lance Lynn gives the Cardinals 4 big outs tonight. And it'll be matchup the rest of the way.
It's interesting, though, in the bullpen to see Zepchinski out there. He'll come in to face Prince Fielder. With Mott up, though, makes you think he's going to have to get a 4-out save.
Descalso will come in to play the field. Zepchinski coming in to face Fielder. Third game of this National League Championship Series, a best of 7 has turned into a best of 5 as these 2 teams are all tied up 1 apiece. Daniel Descalso will play third base. Tony La Russa lifting David Freese from the game. Descalso will hit second next inning, and it's Mark Zepchinski to face Prince Fielder. La Russa playing the matchups here. The Brewers down a run with their big bopper at the plate. Figures Zepchinski to face this one batter, especially if Fielder should reach. Right-handed hitter coming up next in a string of right-handed batters for Milwaukee after Fielder.
And Mott, who was not their closer at the beginning of the year, probably going to be asked to get 4 outs. A 4-out save, one of the hardest things to do in the postseason.
Protecting leads late has been a problem for the Cardinals this year. No team lost more games when having the lead in the 8th inning or later than the Cardinals. 16 losses when they led in the 8th or later. It's been a different story in the postseason, though. And a swing and a miss. Zepchinski strikes out Fielder. A big out. Braun and Fielder retired. Glenn and Zepchinski. 2 gone in the 8th.
This is just a tight slider right here. Starts off in the middle of the plate and goes on the outside corner. Tough pitch for Fielder to hit right here, facing a left-hander who hides the ball pretty good.
That's the biggest pitch Zepchinski's ever thrown in his young career.
Fielder gone. Zepchinski is out. Pitching change again for La Russa. (4-3) Cardinals. They lead the Brewers in Game 3. Series that is all tied at 1 apiece. And take a look at games 2 and 3. The comparison: Pujols, the big slugger for the Cardinals, Fielder and Braun. Mark Zepchinski just striking out Prince Fielder. It was Lance Lynn who retired Braun in this 8th inning. Those at-bats might be hovering for Pujols the rest of this series. He has been walked twice in this game.
Albert might not get to swing the bat the rest of the series.
Now the Cardinals have cleared Braun and Fielder for the time being. Jason Mott. Tony La Russa is going to ask 4 outs out of his closer as Mott enters the game with a 1-run lead, 2 outs in the 8th.
Well, if you think he throws like a catcher, it's because he was one. Catcher converted, now closer. Jumps at the hitter and just gives everything he has on every pitch, and he can rush it up there to 99 to 100 miles an hour. And watch his delivery. It's pretty interesting as he gets from the rubber to home plate quickly.
Starts it with a breaking ball for a strike.
You know, when you think of Jason Mott, he's a work in progress. He's a kid that you talked about coming from being a catcher. He's still working on his breaking pitches while he's trying to save games here for the Cardinals.
A fastball pitcher against a fastball hitter, Ricky Weeks. 2 outs in the 8th. And he puts it by him. 98 miles an hour with that heater from Mott.
And baseball parlance got some hair on it, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little short arm delivery that's got life.
Ricky Weeks hit 20 home runs during the regular year. Homered in the LCS in Game 2. We saw Jason Mott earn a 4-out save in Game 2 of the division series. 0-2 the count on Weeks. Boy, didn't miss by much.
Guy throws this hard. You got to think fastball and react to slider, and he was thinking, please don't let that be a strike. Just missed it on the inside part of the plate. Got him.
We're back at it tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on TBS. Game 4 of this best-of-7 championship series. The Brewers will send up left-hander Randy Wolf. Kyle Loesch will take the ball for the Cardinals. MLB On Deck presented by Chrysler gets us started.
Kyle Loesch pitching Game 1 against the Phillies. He has not pitched since then. He was doing a fine job, and then all 1 inning cost him the 5 runs.
Brewers make a pitching change for the bottom of the 8th. Chris Narveson against Nick Punto to start it. Narveson, a former Cardinal, part of that Larry Walker trade. Cardinals in the Colorado Rockies.
I think what's interesting about having Narveson in there, if there was any discussion or talk about whether he would get the start instead of Sean Markham. I think those are gone now that he's in this ball game.
Strike is the call for Mike Everett. Punto unable to check his swing. It's 0-2. Chris Narveson was Milwaukee's 5th starter this season. And looked like a good call as he cuts through it.
You know, one of the things you like to have from your home plate umpire is no criticism or no talk at all. So Sam Holbrook has done an outstanding job behind the plate. 2 tough pitchers who were off their game, and he had the proper strike zone.
A swing and a miss. Punto strikes out. Out number 1 for Chris Narveson and the Brewers. Yeah, that was a big topic of discussion of the strike zone, especially the low strike. John, you mentioned it in our open today, specifically with Giovanni Gallardo getting the low strike, but there was some free swinging going on against both of these aces in this game today.
Well, he never put himself in a position to get those calls because he didn't throw enough of them there either. I mean, you always want to make it tough on an umpire and a player by throwing enough pitches close to where you get swings out of the strike zone.
Daniel Descalso batting for the first time. He came in on the double switch last inning. So La Russa banking on his team staying in the lead, finishing this one off. He has taken a big bat out of his lineup in David Freese on the double switch. How impressive have the Cardinal bullpen been? 9 up, 9 down, 2 strikeouts. Lynn, Zepchinski, and Jason Mott. Big bouncer, fielder on a tough hop. And he makes a play for out number 2.
I thought we were saying that he struggled this year there. I know he had the most errors any first baseman, but he has looked outstanding in this series. Tough hop here, and he kind of just corrals it on his left hip and makes the play. Even brought a smile to Prince. Yeah, I had this all the way, no problems.
I'd rather play the short hop. That's the easy one. So 2 outs. Looking ahead at the Brewer 9th inning, Jerry Hairston, Uni Betancourt, and Jonathan Lucroy. See the Cardinals box score. They did all of their damage in the first inning. The first 4 batters reached and scored in the first inning. Nothing since. And will it stand up for St. Louis? For call batting right-handed for the first time tonight.
You mentioned about the St. Louis Cardinals bullpen success going into this game. Most of that was in a game well at hand. What they're doing tonight was in a 1-run game all the way, and it's been a really impressive performance. And can they finish it off in the 9th? It would be really a great victory. We thought it was going to be a close game. It has been a close game, but it didn't start out that way.
All 7 of the runs scored in the first 2.5 innings. After that 4-run first, the Brewers scored 2 in the second, and then a Mark Kotsay home run in the third. The last tally in this game.
Thought it was really gutsy move for Tony. I mean, you've got your ace guy out there. You could have stretched him out for 1 more innings, try to squeeze one in. They recognized and went right to the bullpen.
Narveson strikes out for call. The inning is over. And last call for Milwaukee. Can Jason Mott close it out and give the Cardinals a 2-1 advantage? This National League Championship Series coverage on TBS has been presented by the new Capital One Cash Card. Coming right down to the end at Busch Stadium, downtown St. Louis. And the Cardinals are 3 outs away from taking a 2-1 advantage in this best of 7. Adrian Chambers is in right field for Lance Berkman. Mott back on the mound for the Cardinals. Jerry Hairston Jr. to lead off. And a shot right to for call. Pitch, 1 out. Now stay tuned for Inside MLB presented by Captain Morgan. Matt Weiner, Cal Ripken, Dennis Eckersley, and David Wells will bring you all the action live from Busch Stadium. Highlights of today's game, post-game analysis. There they are.
Heck, I want to hear you explain how they got this 12 outs at the end of the game.
Cardinals with 10 straight retired out of their bullpen as Betancourt takes a strike.
Well, for Mott, he came in, high adrenaline, got that one out. Then he had to sit down, come back out, throw strikes to get the 4-out save.
Well, we got him, John. I don't know if he did sit down. He was standing up, but you're right. He had to cool off a little bit. And you watch his motion with that real closed left leg to keep that front shoulder closed. He's like a whirling dervish of a pitcher.
Converted to the mound at 06. With a big spot here, the 0-2 just off the plate. A ball and 2 strikes.
A good call by Sam Holbrook. Good pitch, but that pitch is outside. Started on the corner, bend off the plate.
Betancourt has power. And he lays off 2-2.
As you said, Ron, that pitch is a work in progress. He gets underneath it a little bit, a little excited, try and break it, make it break before you actually throw it. And I think the one thing that he's learning how to do is use it in the right situations and try not to get beat with it.
And a swing and a miss. Mott with a high fastball. 2 gone in the inning.
Well, he went with the fastball, elevates it. And the one thing you cannot do against Mott, throws it 99 miles an hour. You can't overswing and try to generate power. You got to use his velocity as the power and put a good swing on the ball. But that case, out of the strike zone.
There's the stat why Game 3 in a 1-1 tie is so important. 72% of the time, the Game 3 winner that goes up 2-1 wins it. Casey McGee off the bench for Milwaukee, a fastball hitter. Ron Renicky is going to take a shot with some power here with 2 away. Just 4 at-bats in the postseason. His lone hit came against Arizona. Cardinals 1 out away from a victory. The Brewers have not had a base runner since the 5th inning. They haven't had a hit since the 4th. Strike 1 and 2, and now Milwaukee down to their last strike. Got him. The Cardinals win Game 3 and keep the momentum alive. Jason Mott, the final 4 outs. He strikes out 3 of the final 4. And a 4-3 final score tonight. The St. Louis Cardinals are now 2 wins away from a World Series.
After giving up 5 runs in their first game against the Phillies in that division series, the bullpen in 2 2/3 innings. Since then, 23 2/3 innings, only 4 runs allowed.
12 up, 12 down tonight, starting in the 6th inning for the Cardinal bullpen.
And here's a guy that the manager will not deem him the closer, but he's gaining confidence with each outing that he goes out there and shuts the door. Mother Nature helped this out, get a good game in. It didn't start pretty, but it sure ended in a grand fashion.
And a bullpen that has been much maligned all season. Might have been the reason the Cardinals had to fight for the wild card. They come up as good as you can do it here tonight, starting with Fernando Salas, then Lance Lynn, who went an inning and a third. Zepchinski struck out fielder, the only batter he faced, and Jason Mott. 4 outs to finish it off as we send it down to Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, thank you very much. Jason Mott here along with David Freese. And Jason, the bullpen, 12 up, 12 down. You retired the last 4, 3 on strikeouts. What's working for you guys?
You know, I think when that phone rings, we're ready to go, you know, and those guys down there, it doesn't matter when it is. You know, we have that mentality that whenever the phone rings, doesn't matter whose name it is, we're gonna get our arms ready and we're gonna get ready to go and battle our butts off. And you know, Carp was able to keep it at 4-3, and the bullpen was able to shut it down from there.
We know you throw 100 miles an hour, but what about your breaking pitches? When did you ever develop those since you were a catcher?
I don't know if it's still fully developed right now. No. I mean, I've had a lot of guys help me out, you know, between the veterans we've had on this team and this year and years past, and coaches and everything. You know, it's a learning process, and you know, it's baseball. It's always a learning process.
You had the ball after the final out, but you gave it to your manager. Why?
It's kind of a funny thing. A couple weeks ago, I got a save, and I got the ball and I flipped it up in the stands, and he's like, "Whoa, was that the game ball?" I was like, "Yeah, do you want it?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, oh, "Okay." So now it's a joke that if I get the last out, I kind of just come up and hand it to him. So it's just one of those things.
You think he'll finally admit now that you're his closer?
Probably not.
All right, thank you very much. Also with me, David Freese. Once again, coming through. You drove in the winning run. You didn't think it happened in the first inning, but you did with that double.
Yeah, the first inning was huge. Tonight was a big game. Gallardo, Carp, you know, they battled. You know, they're not going to have their best stuff every night, but, you know, our bullpen, you know, what a job they did. It was, you know, it was fun to play behind those guys.
What's it like growing up here, being a Cardinal fan as a kid, then coming back and performing in this biggest stage like this in front of everybody you grew up with?
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, listen to this place. It's awesome. You know, this is arguably the best fans in baseball. We think they are. You know, it's great to come here and just play in front of them. It's pretty fun.
You've always been a great hitter, but injuries have plagued your career. Why are you so healthy now, and how do you feel?
Yeah, just dedication. You know, I've had a rough time with some injuries, but yeah, I'm trying not to go anywhere. I'm trying to do my part and stick with this ball club and just be a part of this organization.
Well, while you were out here, we went to your mom's house. We got all your stuff. Here's your cap as a kid, and here's the ball that she says you hit over the neighbor's bushes for your first home run. So take it back and tell her thank you very much.
You know what? I don't think I hit my first home run until I was a junior in high school, so she might be messing around with you.
Well, she got the ball.
All right, cool.
Back to you guys.
Good moment there. Craig Sager with David Freese. And Chris Carpenter ends up as the winner in this game. Chris Carpenter winning his 7th postseason game of his career. It ties Bob Gibson for most postseason wins, and fitting that it is on the anniversary on this date, 44 years since Bob Gibson won the final game of the World Series in 1967. Also hit a home run as the Cardinals won the World Championship, beating the Boston Red Sox. A thrilling win for Cardinal fans everywhere, and St. Louis now up 2-1 with a 4-3 victory over Milwaukee. Be sure to tune in tomorrow on TBS for Game 4 of the Brewers and the Cardinals. Coverage begins at 7:30 p.m. Eastern with MLB On Deck, presented by Chrysler. For Ron Darling, John Smoltz, Craig Sager, and the rest of our crew, I'm Brian Anderson saying good night from St. Louis. TBS is your exclusive home for the National League Championship Series. Now, after the break, stay tuned for Inside MLB, presented by Captain Morgan. Remember to drink responsibly. A Cardinal win. They're up 2-1. So long, everyone.